It's no good. Fuck it, we'll do it live. Hi, welcome back to Kevin Pollak's Chat Show. I am not Chat Show. I am Samm Levine. Fooled you again. You keep falling for it. You tune in, you think you're going to see international movie star Kevin Pollak, but instead you get regional actor. That is how I'm going to describe myself from now on. Welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining us. We are truly honored to have you. A lot of stuff to cover. I don't want to take up too much of your time with it. The reason Kevin and the fantastic Jamie Foxx are not here is they had a busy weekend. Too much. And it turns out it was a charity thing, and they're both at Disneyland with someone who paid a lot of money to go with them. And quite frankly, that's a good investment, because if you want to go to Disneyland with anyone who knows what they're doing there, it's Jamie Foxx and Kevin Pollak. But really, they're going to just leave the place to her in their will when Disneyland becomes hers. I missed the wonderful Josh Charles last week. I'm very sad about that. I adore him. I could not be here. I was in Connecticut meeting the people. Maybe you were one of them, but probably not. I may come to a city near you at some point. Stay tuned. Good news for those who watched me on the show 2 weeks ago. Not broken. Neither of them. Thank you. Thank you so much. The doctor said maybe tendinitis. I think I'm jerking off wrong. It's a whole other story. I want to thank Dr. Robert Rigg for his kindness and generosity and telling me that I was a fucking idiot and I don't have a broken finger. What else? Wet Hot American Summer, first day of camp, starts streaming on Netflix, July 31st. If the sound of my voice is not off-putting enough to you from this podcast, just imagine it coming out of the mouth of a small boy. And enjoy. Drunk History is back for season 3 on Comedy Central sometime in September. I'm in one of those too. I'm just putting my plugs at the top of the show this week. Next week, the magnificent, incredible, sensational Zoe Bell will be our guest on the show. Oh yeah, absolutely. That's going to be a great one. And I think I'm hosting that one too. I apologize in advance if that is off-putting to you. I really do. There's not much I can do about it. When Kevin says host the show, I say only if you let me do it for free. And he keeps saying yes. So what am I getting? My hands are tied, people. Last thing I want to say is I brought my laptop today. It updates better than my stupid iPad. So if you do actually want to join in our little conversation here, tweet at me at Samm Levine, SAMMLEVINE. Tweet me any questions you might have, comments, rude remarks about the show as it's going on, anything for our guest, who I will get to in a minute. Please send me those tweets and we will get to them. A few things to get to before the guest. We have some Larry King games. Pretty excited about this. This one comes to us from Charlie and Tanya Cook. I have created a home remedy for that pesky anal leakage. I shove a 9-volt battery up my ass and I am good to go for the rest of the day. Knob Knobster, Missouri. Caller, you're on the air. Thank you again to Charlie and Tanya Cook of Cook's Racing Hogs and Dogs. Free advertising. That's really what it says at the footer of their email. We have one other Larry King game from Gene Wolfe. Gene also adds, I'm very disappointed in myself that it took me 6 years to discover KPCS, but now that I found you, I'm addicted. Mostly I listen to the podcast, but I have watched a few archived episodes on the YouTube, and I just watched the Josh Charles interview live. Anyway, here's my Larry King game entry. If you listen closely, you can hear me urinating. Nibbish, Minnesota, you're on the air. And Gene, in this case, was smart enough to include t-shirt size and address. So Tanya and, what was it? Charlie and Tanya Cook, get on it. Send us your info, and we will send you a shirt. Thank you. Lastly, a gentleman named Dean from Winterpeg, because he's clever, has decided to come after me for how I choose to close the show, which I do for personal reasons. But he says, evening, since Senor Sam is going to close the podcast tomorrow, because he wrote this yesterday, with his typical fuck off, Senor Sam can then A, play chicken with a rhino, B, spoon with a porcupine, or C, take a leak on a skunk. Sincerely, a Kevin Pollak Chat Show YouTube subscriber, Dean from Winterpeg. Dean, I thank you so much for your interest and the options, and I'm going to go with C, take a leak on a skunk, because when I was in sleepaway camp as a teenager, a skunk sprayed one of my fellow campers who was a bunkmate of mine, and he smelled so bad we made him sleep outside. So I want revenge on that skunk on his behalf. And that is all the business we have to handle. I'm very excited about this. I have a lovely little intro I wrote for our guest here. Oh, this is a good one. Our guest today is a man of many hats. A graduate of New York's prestigious Juilliard School, he had a robust career as a stage and television actor before finally wising up and following the real money behind the lens. He's written, produced, and directed some of your favorite shows of the last 20 years, and he's most certainly what we in the Jewish community would refer to as a mensch. But most importantly, he was the first person to figure out that Sol Rubinek may in fact be my father. Please welcome Jack Kenny.
Thank you, Sam. I think you need to look up robust in the dictionary and then look at my resume again. But thank you.
You're very modest, sir.
I was just very unemployed, but I appreciate that. Thank you.
My pleasure.
It was exciting, every minute of it. Yeah.
I see something has happened to your mug.
Well, yes. I feel that I have a bit of a drinking problem, and I think this helps with it. It cuts back on the amount of liquid that I can actually ingest at once. And also, I get to do a little bloodletting at the same time, getting rid of toxins.
Absolutely. So if you had a rough Saturday night, a good bloodletting on Sunday is really the way to go.
You think it's going to be distracting for our viewer? Should I take it off the table?
I know for a fact we have at least 3 viewers. Hi, Mom, Dad, and Max.
And my mom.
And your mom?
Yeah, maybe.
Okay.
I told her I was doing a podcast today. She said, well, I suppose that's good.
So there you go.
And, it's nice to know people.
So we have at least 4. Yes, thank you.
No, she said no idea. She can't find the remote to her TV. She's not going to be able to get to the podcast. No.
I'm going to lead off with, it's more of a personal question because you and I have no, you do want to keep
It's for luck. I just realized, it's going so well so far, I don't want to fuck with it.
Oh, that's fine. You and I have known each other some time now. We've had enough meals together. I've gotten to know you pretty well. And I have to ask, how is it possible in my research that I have discovered you are not Jewish?
I know. I'm Jewish adjacent.
What the hell?
I'm a pseudo-Jew. I'm a Jew. I think it was a mix-up in the hospital.
Yeah.
My mother's Cuban.
Yeah.
So, and I don't look like that either. So, although I am a diversity hire. You heard it here first. No, I did Fiddler for 2 years.
Yeah.
With Topol, the Topol. And so we did a year and a half on the road and 7 months on Broadway, and it was lovely. And I guess I became, I had the foreskin reattached and then taken off again so I could go through the whole experience.
Oh, that's lovely.
Well, I want to make sure that I honor the traditions of the Jewish people.
And you really do.
I do. Well, and some of my best friends.
It's lovely. Not since Jason Biggs has there been a Jew, non-Jew situation as strong as yours.
Jason Bates or Jason Biggs?
Biggs.
Biggs, okay.
Not a Jew.
Really?
See? Thank you very much.
Would have known.
Not a Jew.
No. Yeah, I Catholic, so...
Yeah.
Recovering.
Right.
Actually, I said that in an interview doing Book of Daniel, and I think that's one of the reasons the show went down.
We're going to get to that.
I made the joke,
we're gonna
Catholic
get to
recovering.
all of that.
Yeah.
Well, let's start at the top.
Okay.
Born in Chicago, Just like this guy.
Yes. Oh yeah, that's
Good
right.
city to be born in.
That's right. I didn't last there as long as you, but I was.
There's no way I lasted longer than you in Chicago.
I was there for 5 years.
I was there for 6 months.
Really?
Yeah.
After birth?
After birth.
Wow, they kicked you out quick.
Maybe 8 months.
That's because of the Jew thing. Yeah.
They'd hit their quota.
They're done.
They were done. They had enough of us. So then you hightail it from Chicago to Poughkeepsie?
Poughkeepsie, New York. My dad was working for IBM, and in those days used to say it stood for I've been moved. So we got transferred to Poughkeepsie, and yeah, it was probably good. I don't remember much about Chicago. Jeffrey Street, Vincennes Avenue, St. Mary's Hospital.
Water Tower Place.
Yeah, I don't know. I was 5.
All right.
The bus. I remember the bus. I remember the street.
But have
There
you
was
not
a dog,
been
I
back?
think.
Have you not been back?
Not for any great length of time. We did Fiddler there for a week in the 80s. So I don't. No, it hasn't. It's one of the few cities I haven't been back to many times.
That's a shame. It's a pretty spectacular
I
city.
know. I hear it's great. I mean, it's got the worst of every weather there is.
And the best of the food there is.
The food is fantastic, and it's cheaper than New York. I don't know. I'm a New Yorker,
I know.
essentially, at my
I know.
core.
Yeah.
So are you, really? Come on.
But
The attitude.
New York adjacent.
You end the show with "fuck off."
Well, that's
Come
true.
on.
That's just because
You're
I'm
a New Yorker.
misanthrope. That has nothing to do with where I'm from. So Poughkeepsie, but then also I believe there's some. Is it North Carolina?
Raleigh, North Carolina. Yeah, when I was so it was 13, and or no, I was 14. Moved to and I had just won an award in junior high school for best punster and class clown. I still have the certificate. And then my father came home and said, "We're moving to North Carolina." I mean, what the fuck? I had made it. I was a made man. And then we moved. We left the mafia, and I went down to North Carolina with, Barney and Andy, and you had to walk from the plane to the terminal.
Oh.
It was a nightmare. But turned out to be for the best. They had a way better theater department. My new high school, Millbrook High School, and Cheryl Robinson, who if I told I was doing this, my high school drama teacher Cheryl would be watching.
That's lovely.
But I forgot to mention it to her. So
You know when she'll find it in the archives.
exactly, I'll let her know.
Okay, great.
Anyway, go ahead. I'm veering down an uninteresting path.
There's no uninteresting paths here. So.
Oh, give me a minute.
So you split there and you head up to the big city.
Well, I went to UNC Greensboro first. 2 years at UNC Greensboro. UNC, we used to call it UNC Gay.
No.
Because it's okay, I'm gay, I can say that. Because it was 6-1, men to women. So really,
Wow.
you didn't have much of a choice.
No.
So if you wanted to have sex, you had to be gay. Went there for. I was supposed to go to Chapel Hill, and then this techie guy in the theater department said to me, "What are you going to Chapel Hill?" This was June. I had put in a down payment. I had a roommate. I was set at Chapel Hill, and he said, "Why going there? The theater department's getting shut down. Come with me to UNC Greensboro. Let's go see it." And he drove me to Greensboro, from Raleigh, and I was like, "Shit, I'm making a huge mistake." I went to my dad and said, I have to change. I want to go to Greensboro. And he said, way better theater department. And I went there. And then the acting company, this touring rep company, John Houseman's acting company, came through Greensboro, as they did every year with their shows. And then we had a reception for them. And I met this woman, Margot Harley, who's actually now this year retiring from the acting company. And so I said, "So how do you get into the acting company?" She said, "Well, you have to go to Juilliard." I said, "Oh, how do you get into Juilliard?" She said, "Well, she's like, who's this rube bothering me at a reception in Greensboro?" And she said, "Well, you must audition for the school, and then we decide if you can get in." And I said, "Oh, well, when do you do that?" She said, "Well, they're actually coming up in March." I said, "Can I?" And she said, "Well, it's a $50 fee." Now, this is 1978, 77 probably. $50.
It's like $5,000.
Exactly. I may as well have. She may as well have said, "I have to take your firstborn child." So I said, I haven't got that kind of money to spend. She said, "All right, well, we'll waive the audition fee, but if you get in, you're paying." And I'm convinced that's the only reason I got in.
They wanted their $50.
Margot wanted her $50 out of me.
Absolutely.
And so I went up and auditioned. I did my 2 monologues, and I got in and went there. And you can see how well my acting career has blossomed from my Juilliard training.
Hey.
No, it's fine.
I
It's
saw
good.
you on Miami Vice.
Yes, Johnny. I can't remember. I was a sleazy tabloid reporter. I was in 8 days. They brought me down there for.
Wow.
I only shot the first day and the last day, so I had a week in Miami.
I had that happen to me in Atlanta.
It's great, isn't
Yeah.
it? It's a vacation.
It's
but
terrific.
it was fine. I got punched out by Don Johnson on
Who
my
hasn't?
episode. Well, to know him is to get him angry. I know, I hear he's a great guy. I didn't really get to talk to him much. I was, who do I hit? That guy? All right, fine. So it was fine. I asked him, do you want me, I can do a fall, land on the table, bring the table down on me and stuff. And he said, yeah, sure, do that. Because it made him look really good.
Sure.
And so I did that. It was good. My first TV job.
I know.
I'm sorry.
That's why I mentioned it. I'm pretty proud.
I think I got a residual from that the other day. I think it was 6 cents. Yes, 6 cents.
Anything less than 10 cents.
Why don't they just give it to the Actors Fund or something? I mean, seriously. I'm not going to donate 6 cents to the Actors Fund. Why don't they just let every check under $1?
You can write to SAG.
I have.
And say every check under $5 or whatever, just put the Actors.
They're not going to do that.
No.
No, they don't have a mechanism for it.
They don't?
No, but
really
they should. Yeah, because it's like, I got a check the other day for 0. It actually said void in the amount. It must have cost $1 just to process the check.
I don't understand why it would get printed at all.
That's my favorite residual check. I have it framed on my desk.
That's amazing.
That's my acting career in a nutshell. Void.
All right, now you keep putting it down, but post Juilliard,
it was huge.
You did the good work. You did.
You say that like it was charity work, and you're right.
You did.
I did a lot of equity waiver stuff.
You had a quite the theater experience.
I toured for 2 years with the acting company, doing memorable roles like Fabian in Twelfth Night. Yes, you have to look it up. Monsieur Loyal in Tartuffe. Again, if you blink, you will miss Monsieur Loyal. A lot of the character types, but not Sir Toby Belch, but Fabian. But it was fun. I had honestly, Juilliard was great, and I made some great friends there. And it's a great place to go. I don't know what it's like now because I went there in the last century. But the best thing I did there was Edith Skinner was our speech teacher, and she was leaving to go teach at ACT. And I put together a going away event for her and for the classes. I did Rumour's speech from Henry IV Part 1 as Inspector Clouseau. And I got, the end of that season when they critique you, 3 of my teachers said, that's the best work you've done here. So I'm thinking maybe I was at the wrong place.
Maybe
4 years in improv and stand-up would have been better used. I mean, they tried to, I took, in comedy class, I was always a comic. I do comedy. I did my 7th grade term paper on Groucho Marx and my 8th grade term paper on W.C. Fields.
Wow.
So I was always a comedy nerd. And so they had comedy class. You have to do, and they were always after you have to make it real. You have to make it real. You're trying to be funny. Stop trying to be funny. Okay. So we did this scene from The Odd Couple. We did the Linguini scene from The Odd Couple, me and Joe McGrath. People were worried for his life. I was playing Oscar. And students in class said, oh, worried you were actually going to hurt him. So obviously I took Be Real the wrong way.
Well,
because to me, being comedy, yes, you have to. Of course, you're trying to be funny because you're trying to be funny. You got to be funny.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know if that was the best transition for me into the actual business of show. I often think if I'd done 4 years in a stand-up club, for me, that would have been a more interesting experience. Or 4 years at SC, or 4 years in just an improv troupe somewhere, because I did a lot of improv.
But I don't think you hate yourself enough to be a stand-up. So.
Oh, I do. I'm loaded with self-loathing. Oh my God, no! I present a positive front because of the drugs.
I see.
No. I hate myself way more than you hate yourself.
You know what? It's never too late to get into the stand-up.
Right
here on this very stage, they have a couple of great shows a week.
Yeah.
I know a guy or two.
I'm not going to do that to myself, not yet.
Just putting it out there.
Okay, because I know it pays so well.
It really is kind of the best money you'll never make.
I'm sure it's
So
I get part of the cover.
In your class at Juilliard, if I'm not mistaken,
yes,
a couple other notable people. One of my favorites, Penny Johnson.
Oh, Penny, yes. Penny got a job right out of school in a show that shot in England.
Yeah.
And 3 months later, she came back saying, "Why don't you ring me at my flat?" I'm like, "What the fuck are you? What? You were there for 3 months." Oh, she became full British.
Wow.
Yeah, but Penny's great. She was a lot of fun. We had a good time. And Megan Gallagher was in my class, and I think that's it for famous people.
Okay. And you?
It was good. All right, sure. I'll take that. Yeah,
Modesty.
I don't know if that's the okay, but other classes like Val Kilmer was a year ahead of me. And he actually slept on my floor once in my apartment because he locked himself out of his. And I don't know.
What was this?
I don't know. Maybe I could have a chance there. I don't know. I was too fucked up in the closet. I'm thinking, did I blow my one good story, my one good sex story? I have no good sex stories. But I would have had I slept with Val Kilmer story, but I don't.
I guess not.
Nope, didn't happen.
All right.
No.
You know what? The night is young.
A girl can dream.
The night is, you never know, man.
Yeah,
You never know.
it was. But there was, I was surrounded by other very famous people, and it was it's a great place to learn to learn classical acting and learn a craft like that. I think they probably have broadened their scope now, and they probably teach a lot more stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I was after them. Why aren't we learning tap dance? Why aren't we learning juggling? Why aren't we learning? I mean, I want to learn everything. I love tap dance. That's like, I've always loved tap. Is one of my favorite art forms.
Yeah.
Because it feels to me like people are flying when they tap dance. A really good tap dancer,
Sure.
it almost feels like they're levitating, or tap dogs. You ever seen tap dogs?
I have not.
It's an all-male tap dance troupe. I think they're from Australia or New Zealand. Incredibly masculine and powerful tap dancing. These 6 guys doing this stuff all at once. It's kind of amazing, or maybe there's 8 of them. It's really kind of cool.
All right.
But they mostly with Shakespeare.
That is the one skill, and people always think I'm joking. If I could go back and have my parents have bullied me into doing something that I didn't really want to do when I was super young, but insist that I keep at it my whole life, it would have been tap dance.
What did they make you do that you didn't want to do?
Oh, God.
Must have been something.
No.
I was the trumpet.
No, I was into a lot of stuff. They made me play the piano.
That's
when
a
I was
great.
younger.
I've always wanted to learn I've always wanted to know. I don't want to learn how to play the piano. I want to know how to play the piano.
Sure. And
But,
I did learn, and then I forgot it all, and then I taught myself again, and then I'm putting myself.
You're
to sleep
boring
just
yourself.
thinking
It's
about it.
it's fascinating.
Oh my God, playing the piano is great. Learning to play the piano puts me to
Already,
sleep
right away
every
you're going to
time.
sleep. Well, you know what? You can still do. You can still learn. Just as I could stand here and do jokes on Thursday night at midnight, you could learn to tap dance.
That's true.
It's not outside the realm of possibility. You're still a young man.
Not that young.
No, not. But you don't have to. I took
Tendinitis.
lessons. Oh, right. Well, I beg your pardon. I just belched on your show. It's the crappy food you've got at craft service.
We really need to step it up.
No, you can. That really threw my whole train of thought. I think I got a little bit on the microphone.
Oh, no, you're not Jewish then. You're definitely not Jewish.
Oh, really?
Belching while you're talking is just, you do that in
talking.
temple.
That's
part of the sermon.
Oh, yeah, hello, my I get it. But tap, yeah, I like tap, and I like. I was in a mime troupe.
Oh.
Yes, I was in the. Remember, I was from. I came of age in the '70s. I was in the Kaleidoscope mime troupe when I was at UNCG. We would go to malls and follow people around pretending to push a broom or building a wall in front of them. Oh yes,
Your
or
space work is excellent.
climbing a ladder. It
Seems like you haven't lost a beat.
in the car. No, I just paint my face white and I'm there. Wow. No, I'd rather kill myself than do mime. And I mean, actually, mime ended in the movie Tootsie. You remember that moment?
Of course.
The end of the movie where he pushes over the. That's when Dustin Hoffman's character did something everybody in the world has always wanted to do, and that was the end of mime. After that, everybody just wanted. After that, people you could kill mimes openly. You can still kill a mime. There's no penalty. If you can prove he was a mime or doing mime, you can kill him.
Well, you got to be careful there, Jack, because as I'm sure you know, a mime is
It's a terrible thing to waste.
Hats off to Mel Brooks. A movie called Robin Hood, Men in Tights.
That's right.
Still one of the finest lines.
And Roger.
And
Roger, who we just
talking
lost.
about, and,
Yeah, he was a good
such
friend too.
yeah.
What a sweet and what a great guy. We were
Great
in
Roger Rees.
Roger and I were in a television series together in 1990. Do you know this?
I know this, but please share with everyone.
Because no one. Well, it's easy. It's good to share because there's not a chance that anyone has ever seen this or probably even heard that there is such a show that could have existed.
Mm-hmm.
It was a 4-camera sitcom about a traveling circus, focusing on the clowns in that circus.
Mm-hmm.
Roger was Kelso, the old jaded clown, and the young new clown was Charlie Schlatter, who I'm sure is going to be on the show soon, and I was Bobo, the sad clown, and it lasted 4 episodes that we shot, because while we were shooting episode 4, the creator, I understand, the rumor that I heard was the creator had gone to have a meeting at Fox, and that the president of Fox had said something like, Kelso needs to be more like Judd Nelson in Taxi. And the creator of the show said, that's Judd Hirsch, you asshole. And on his drive back to the studio, the show was canceled.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
Wow.
Yeah. It was, it's Hollywood. People were testy about being called that.
That's that's how it goes.
Yep, and it went.
Oh.
We were in the middle of shooting an episode with Jack Carter as a host, as a guest of the show. He was playing an old retired clown who Kelso went to for advice.
How about that?
It was,
So do you think any of these episodes are online somewhere?
no, not a kid. Roger said he had some and he was going to dig them out for me. He never could find them. And I think they were destroyed, like a Mission Impossible tape. It was
Oh,
just,
yeah?
Oh yeah.
Just they took them out to the desert and they buried them.
They were angry. They tried to. Yeah. You got to be careful. I mean, Titus. You got to be careful who you piss off, because Titus. We shot Titus. We have 54 episodes of the show. They've never aired anywhere. They've never repeated anywhere. I mean, they aired once, the first time on Fox.
Right.
Never again after that. They're not in repeats. They weren't sold anywhere. You can't even get the DVDs anymore. They're out of print. And I went to get a set to give to a relative.
Yeah.
They were $150 for a DVD set because they're so out of print.
Sure.
So, but that was mostly.
Or because they're so brilliant.
Yeah, that's it. No, they actually, they are really,
They
really
are.
good.
I
I'm
watched
very
Titus.
proud of that show.
And as well you should be, and I know I'm making a joke of it, but I did watch quite a bit of that show.
Well, you were doing Freaks and Geeks almost at the same time.
Yeah.
Because I met Judd at a Fox party, and he was in his I hate TV phase.
Yes, he
because
very much did.
He was treated very badly by television. Briefly.
Yes, he was.
Yes.
Every outing he made in television up until Girls.
Yeah, right.
On HBO, but it was a different situation for him by the time he got to Girls. By then they went, you want
Anything
to do
you
TV
want.
again?
Anything you want to do, we'll do.
Oh my God, we're honored.
Well, didn't they make a deal? Didn't Netflix make a deal with him to like do 2 years on the air, whatever you want to do?
Probably.
I think recently he just signed a deal with Netflix. Anything you want, we'll do it. 2
I
years.
can't wait to not be involved in that at all either.
I've already talked to him. I've already talked to him about you. You're not.
I understand.
But it's it's okay.
Yeah.
You still have Freaks and Geeks.
Oh, we'll always have Freaks and Geeks.
Well, not always. It's hard to find, but it's good.
It's readily available. It's on Netflix streaming.
You've got it in your bag right now.
I carry it with me at all times. Do you know I used to keep a box set of Freaks and Geeks, the DVDs, in my trunk?
Absolutely.
Because I always thought, like, if I run into someone, like, I don't say important, but like someone who I wanted
would
to be
lead
like,
to a job and money.
hey, here,
Watch
check
me.
this out.
I'm good.
And I wound up giving that box set to my orthodontist.
Did you get some free work done? I mean, what did you get for that? Let me see. Give me a smile. Oh, yeah, it was worth it.
Thanks. You're okay.
Nice.
You're okay. You know, my father's a dentist, so if I have bad teeth.
Wait a minute. Your father's a dentist and you gave away your Freaks and Geeks box set to a dentist?
Well, he's not an orthodontist.
Oh, boy. Talk about... All right. I think you could have done better. Maybe give it to a financial advisor. Somebody who could do some good
I
for
screwed
you.
the pooch. For years, when I was giving out Freaks and Geeks box sets as gifts, I was going to Tower Records, buying them at retail, and then giving them out to
That's what I've
someone
had to
at
do.
60, 70 bucks a pop, whatever it was.
I was hoping I'd get one in my gift bag with my mug,
No.
but no.
No, I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
You know, we used to have 3 of these. Now we have 2. One of them's not here.
It's like an Agatha Christie novel. What's the last one we'll find out is the murderer. I used to carry, along the lines of carrying these, I used to carry my scripts in my car. My partner and I, my writing partner and I would carry them whenever I go to a dinner party or if I was in the mall and I saw, would you read our scripts? I carried them everywhere. I mean, in the days when scripts were printed on paper.
That's
a
old
long
school.
time ago.
I had a valet give me a script once.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Recognized me when, here, man, I got something for you. He recognized me and said hello when I dropped my car off. And then when I came out later, he was waiting for me with the script.
Do you think you wrote it during dinner?
It sure seemed that way.
I got a script in the mail this thick. For our radio listeners, I'm holding up about 3 inches of thickness of script. I think it was called The Virtual Wraith. And yes, it just makes you want to watch it right. You want to watch it right away.
Yeah.
The first 19 pages were description.
Yeah.
And it was a TV show. And it got sent to me in the mail as just randomly. I didn't read it. I just was flipping through it and I thought, there's no dialogue. Oh, there's some dialogue. But I didn't read it because I didn't want to be accused of stealing somebody's idea or something. But it's the longest spec script I've ever seen of anything. Much less, I think Nicholas Nickleby came in an inch shorter than that. It was just, It was huge.
So that's just a person who never did rewrites, just went,
more.
oh, how about a different version of that same scene,
Yeah.
and I'll just put it 20 minutes later.
Yeah, it'll
Yeah.
be great because it'll be like a callback.
Huh.
No, it's kind of amazing. People do that. You know.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Now,
Sorry, back to
no,
where
no.
were we in my career?
No, now I want to talk about a little bit of your personal life, because this is impressive to me.
Oh, okay. Well, you haven't seen it.
Now you and your husband Michael
Yes.
have been legally married as of yesterday.
Yeah, as of yesterday.
As of
it's
yesterday,
7
it's
years.
been 7 years.
Oh
No,
thank
it
you.
gets so much
Thank
more
you, thank you,
impressive
thank
than
you.
that.
7
That's
years is-
legal marriage.
That's when he actually is going
right.
to take half.
Right. That's married in the eyes of the state.
Yes, exactly.
However, married in the eyes of a higher power,
Married in the eyes of God. Let's just say that.
that goes all the way back to
August 16th, 1982.
1982.
Yes,
ladies
I know.
and
Most of
gentlemen.
you weren't born.
Coming up,
I don't think anybody in this room was born before that.
coming up on an awfully impressive 33 years.
33 years. And I'm telling you, it went by like that. Anyway, it's been great. I mean, it's been,
great.
I was saying, had a dinner party last night. We were being toasted by friends saying congratulations, blah, blah. And I said, honestly, I am the luckiest man in the world because I stumbled into my soulmate when I was 24. Mm-hmm. That doesn't happen for most people.
No.
You can look forever, or maybe you never find him, or maybe you find 3.
Mm-hmm.
It happens all kinds of different ways, but I've never been insanely lucky with money. You want to know you want to invest in the stock market? Buy what I sell. Sell what I buy. That's the way you invest in the stock market. Just ask me what I'm buying and
Great.
make sure you sell it.
Okay.
But so money's it's been okay. I mean, I'm not living on the street, but I've never been good with money. And work has been great. I work consistently, but I'm not Greg Berlanti. But the thing that I have in my life that I'm so thrilled that happened was I met Michael, because everybody doesn't get to do that. And I could lose everything else in my life. As long as I have Michael, I'm fine. I don't care about
That's true love right there, ladies and gentlemen.
anything else. And by the way, at any point in the last 33 years, if I had died, I would have died happy. I mean, including today. If you hear that I've died, I died a happy man.
Oh, please don't die on the chat show.
Really? Wouldn't that be
Please.
huge?
No, I would
That
feel...
would be huge.
We had Dick
People,
Van Dyke.
you would have maybe 22 more viewers. I mean, you would double your numbers.
We had Dick Van Dyke on the chat show.
You didn't kill Dick Van Dyke, did
No,
you?
we didn't. He's alive. He's
Oh,
alive.
no, I heard that one. Yeah, he was great. He
was phenomenal.
Yeah.
And then the next day, he was in like a terrible car accident. But he's fine. He was fine. But it was like his car exploded. Like somebody pulled him out of his car on the highway, and like a minute later, it exploded. And for a split second, when we were reading that story, we all thought, there is a chance we were Dick Van Dyke's last interview.
Wow.
And then he was gone the next
That's
day.
an interesting career
So
trajectory.
we
for
are
him,
very
yeah.
happy that he survived.
Yes, because he went on to do The Nerdist, because that would be.
Well, then we were afraid we wouldn't get any more guests.
Oh, because you're. Oh, yeah?
If people die after doing our show,
Or you get a lot of guests who, maybe were looking to end it.
have a death wish.
Yeah.
I see.
I
Okay.
6 or 7 names are racing through my head, and I am literally biting through my tongue not to say them. It's just going to get me in trouble if I say anybody's name, really.
Well, yes, there is no name you can plug in there.
No, it's not going to get you yelled at by somebody on Twitter.
Someone will always be mad.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yes.
I want to include our audience, and we do have a couple of tweet fives. Let's start with one
God.
from. Oh, you're going to like this. Let's
Okay.
start with one from friend of yours, friend of mine, friend of the show, Barry Gribble.
Barry Gribble, is he watching? I love you, Barry.
I'm sure he is. The great Barry
one of,
Gribble.
one of the most talented unsung heroes of television. Barry
Truly.
he's a cottage industry.
Yes.
He makes a pilot every year, and
Yes.
it's really good.
Yes,
well shot.
with no real support from any network or studio.
None at all by himself,
Yeah.
basically, and and his friends. And I have been pushing him. I mean, every time I get a job interview, I mention Barry Gribble, because if you don't hire me, you should hire him. Or if you hire me, I'll bring him. He's just he's great.
He was wonderful. He's a spectacular writer, and every time I have an audition, I mention Barry as well, and they always say, what are you doing? You're just auditioning as an actor. You have no authority to pitch us writers.
You were almost going to get this, but now you're not.
Nope, now it's over. So, from Barry Gribble, tweet 5, can we please have that Keckner intro?
T5, T5.
So Dave Keckner does a little
I've
T5
heard it.
intro. Is it going?
I've heard
it's done.
T5.
Thanks, because you know we have the monitors, so I see what you see.
T5.
All right. Fuck it, we'll do it live. T5 for Jack Kenny from Barry Grubble. Here we go. Dustin Hoffman's career or Tom Cruise's?
Dustin Hoffman.
Chuck Lorre's career or Larry David's?
Larry David's.
Studio notes or network notes?
Oh. That's like burning in oil or burning in fire. Studio notes.
Correct. Dogs or people?
What?
Dogs or people?
Oh, dogs. I thought you said Dougs. I thought maybe, are Dougs not people?
New question. Dogs or people?
Dogs.
Okay. Antonin Scalia in a drunken booth, Antonin Scalia in a dunking booth, or Rick Santorum?
Oh, Scalia.
Yeah?
Way more influential. Let's
agree.
get rid of Scalia.
Yeah.
Santorum is that frothy mix of sperm and
lube
and sperm and
sperm,
ejaculate
yes.
that is
And fecal matter.
and fecal
That-
matter
that
that is
builds
presented from anal sex.
Yes.
Yes. We all know what Santorum is.
Just excuse me for
I
a
have some on
second.
my hands now.
Just one first. Hi, Mom. I really hope you've enjoyed our explanation of the word Santorum. If you don't believe Jack or me, please feel free to Google it.
Google
It
it.
is the first hit.
Thank
Moving
you,
right
Jon
along.
Stewart.
Truly.
Thank you,
Jon
Jon Stewart.
And thank you, Internet, for getting that one right. Boy, does that man, the both of them together, boy, they need to be on.
Well, where does
island.
the list start? I can't wait for the debates. Did you hear what Trump said yesterday about McCain?
I'm afraid I did.
Oh my God! I almost want him to win just for 4 years of that.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be like, comedy it would be a golden age of comedy with Donald Trump in the White House.
Yes.
But that's not a promo or a suggestion.
I'm being told that Santorum might have come from Dan Savage and not
was
Jon
it?
Stewart.
I thought it was Jon Stewart because he pitched on his show. All right.
They definitely both talked about it, but now that that is brought to my attention, I believe it was Dan
I love
Savage
Dan Savage.
who made
He's not going to sue.
who made the
sue
push.
us,
No.
is he? I think he's great. I love it.
He's accomplished it. I think
He has a new
he's-
television
he's
show
given
coming
it
out in the
to
fall,
us.
The Real O'Reillys. I
Oh,
think.
yeah.
Yes.
That's right.
I'm plugging Dan Savage so he doesn't get mad at me.
Very nice of you.
Jon Stewart.
Very
Jon
nice.
Stewart's on his way out. Let's face it. Cut him loose.
What do you think Stewart's going to do now, by the way?
I don't know. I hate him for leaving. I'm so angry that he's leaving. How can he do this?
I mean,
I don't care. I don't
it's been
care.
17 years.
I don't care. Then nominate him to the Supreme Court. That will placate me. if we can nominate Stewart to the Supreme Court, then I'm okay with
All
his
right.
leaving.
All right.
But I think, and it's interesting. I like the guy. I like the guy who's going to replace him. Just what I've seen of him.
Mm-hmm.
But it's interesting to me because Stewart is such a. It's such an American show. It goes after American icons. It goes after American politics.
Mm-hmm.
It goes after everything that sort of makes fun of our country left and right. And anybody with an accent that makes the same jokes, for some reason I feel like, it's like I can make gay jokes, but you can't.
Right.
It's like it feels like I kind of want any American to be doing that job because I think people will more likely take the hit coming from an American. But even when John Oliver was doing it, and I love John Oliver, love him, but there's something about making fun of American presidents with a British accent that makes me feel like, I don't know, make fun of the Queen.
Well, he certainly does enough of that.
He does plenty of that. And so I'm worried for him for that because I think he's talented and funny, and I just wonder if that's going to get in the way. But
I think that's a fair point.
I sort of like to see a woman in that job.
As would I.
I think Amy Schumer. Can you imagine Amy Schumer in that?
Yeah,
game?
but she would never take it because she's.
Why would she?
got a
She's
whole
about
other-
to explode as everything else.
But Jessica Williams, I think, would have.
Jessica
would
Williams
have made a
would
pretty
Sam B.
pretty strong fit.
I mean, Sam B may be too funky and off, subversive to play the anchor desk, but maybe she could have done it. I don't know. I don't know her. I just love her.
I'm hoping that Williams stays with the show. And I'm not suggesting that Trevor Noah is not going to himself have a 17-year run.
He very well may be amazing.
But if after a year or two he decides not for me, maybe it's not the right fit, I have other opportunities,
But you're right,
and they
she
need to
would've-
fill the anchor void again,
She would have been amazing.
I really hope she'll reconsider.
Everything she does, I just like.
Yeah.
I love her.
Yeah.
Great.
Okay.
Yeah, all
I'm
right,
glad
we
we
did
cleared
that.
that up. Back to you.
Yes.
Canceled sitcom on Fox, Back to You, starring Kelsey Grammer and Patricia Heaton.
What?
What?
Canceled sitcom on Fox.
There was a canceled sitcom on Fox called Back to You. It was created by Steve
that's
Levitan.
right. Back to You. Yes. That must have been a fun set to be on because they're both very, very right wing, to my understanding.
That is, you're absolutely right.
And I
I
imagine
worked
that
with
was-
Kelsey on an episode of another cancel show he was on called Hank.
Ah.
And I had forgotten about his right-wingedness
Oh, and you wore your.
when we were working
you wore your
together.
I'm a liberal T-shirt.
No, I said, I don't even remember what was going on, but I said something so innocuous about, oh, can you believe they bungled that one? And then he had this, kicked him off into like a 10-minute diatribe about everything that was wrong with the presidency and
Oy.
oh boy, it was a rough one because
Yeah,
I mean
yeah,
I love me some Kelsey Grammer.
And I love, but I love
got
me
him to do
s- I love
Sideshow
me s-
Bob. for
Oh
me.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what Sideshow Bob is. Uh-oh.
Oh, come on.
Well,
Simpsons.
this is a-
Simpsons.
Oh, okay. I'm not. You know what? I was never a Simpsons guy.
Really?
I think it's when it started. 'Cause it's been on the air for like 400 years, right?
Yep.
It started. I was working, and all my nights. You know, when you're working half-hour comedy as a writer, your nights, forget it. You know that you don't have them.
Yeah.
So I didn't watch as much TV, and there weren't. There was no DVRs in the 90s, and so so I think it even started in the late 80s. But I was working, so I never really. And I think, for me, a lot of times I have to get into a show in the beginning, and if I don't, I just never kind of go back to it.
Yeah.
And I just read an article. In I think it was Time magazine, where basically the premise of the article was, you're never going to watch The Wire. You're just not
Oh.
going to. No, you're not. It's a great show. Everybody agrees it's a great show.
Yeah.
And you have that DVD set
Yeah.
sitting on your console.
Yeah.
You're never going to get to it. It's not going to happen. There's too much to watch.
Wow.
There is no time. You're not going to watch the shows that people tell you about that you should watch. There isn't the time. You can't get to them. I can't. I really want to watch the rest of Bloodline. I just can't.
Jamie and I and Kevin, we always say this. There's too much content.
Too much. It's great for
too much.
us content providers.
Do you remember when there were 3 channels?
I do.
That was
And
it.
You had to get up.
There was no cable.
You had to get up.
I was but a small child, and maybe by then there were 4 channels, but still, that was it.
I watched television. Was the 70s is when I watched TV.
And if you missed it,
you
had
missed
to
it.
wait for a rerun
Maybe
over
you
the
watched,
summer.
keep an eye out
maybe.
for the repeat. Yeah. You couldn't. No, it was done. And when I was in high school, people stayed home to watch TV on
Yeah.
Saturday night because it was All in the Family, MASH, Mary Tyler Moore, Bob Newhart, Carol Burnett.
Yeah.
Why would you go out? Why would you go? Where does it get better than that? 3 hours of television. I think it may have been the best 3 hours of television that was ever on.
Yeah.
Because it was at the time.
Sure.
You know, I just and now I can't. There's so many things I want to
too
watch. I haven't started Orange is the New Black yet.
I will say this. So I take it you have not seen The Wire. Okay.
I have not.
I don't ever insist that people watch things. I don't.
Unless you're in them.
Unless I'm in them, and even then I go, eh.
Oh, come on. You carried around box sets of Freaks and
I
Geeks.
haven't carried
You
around a
would-
box set of Freaks and Geeks in over 10 years because I can't afford
Can't
it.
afford them, I know.
The residuals just aren't enough for me to buy the box sets anymore.
You know, when you get a check in the mail, it's only because you bought the box set.
That's the
And so,
problem.
yeah.
That's the discount in my mind.
Yes.
I was like, well, I'm going to get like
6
an
cents.
eighth of a penny
Yeah,
out of this.
sure.
So here's the thing about The Wire. I am a fan of good writing. And with all due respect to the brilliant Breaking Bad, which I love
Yeah.
as if it came out of my own body like a child would if I were a lady. This
Yeah, that's
analogy
because
got off.
you had to add the lady thing.
I got off weird.
Yeah,
I got
because
off
if you
weird.
hadn't added the lady thing,
Yep.
then that could have gone in a very ugly
Yep.
direction
Yep.
that
Yep.
I would have leapt upon.
I understand.
And you saw that in my
But I don't
eyes.
want this to detract from my larger point, which is The Wire simply is the finest serialized writing and storytelling you will ever see. There is not a single false note, story-wise or character-wise, in the entire series.
I feel like that's a challenge for me to go and find one.
Trust me,
Find a
you
false note.
won't.
All right.
It was flawless.
All right, I'll watch it. I
And
got the
everyone
DVD.
who
I
I've
got the
get
set
you,
at
if
home.
you don't have the DVD, surely you have HBO Go.
Yes, I do.
And
it's
it's
on
all-
HBO Go. Was
all
it
of
an
their
HBO
shows.
show?
Yeah.
I can't. I don't. See, I can't.
Oh man.
I don't
yeah.
know what channel anything I watch is on. I just hear the name and I program it to record and I watch it.
I want to implore to our viewers, if you have HBO Go,
Go watch The Wire.
please do yourself the best favor you will ever do in terms of storytelling and watch The Wire.
Have you read Difficult Men?
I have not.
You have to read this book. It's a great book. It's about 6. It follows 6 showrunners.
Okay.
David Simon,
Brilliant.
The Wire.
Oh yeah.
David
Chase.
Sopranos. David. It's not all Davids. David Milch.
Okay.
Deadwood.
Yep.
Then it jumps to Matt Weiner, Vince Gilligan, and Sean Ryan.
I'm reading this book tonight.
It
What
follows,
is it called?
It's called Difficult Men.
Difficult Men.
They're not all difficult,
No.
but it's an interesting title. But it follows it follows the golden age of television, because I would say that those first three began the golden age of television, the age of the anti-hero. Sopranos, The Wire was all the age of the anti-hero, right? Deadwood, they're all anti-heroes. They're all difficult. Maybe that's where Difficult Men is. You know, Tony Soprano and what's his name in Deadwood, and it follows the trajectory not only of those shows and those writers' careers, but the networks they were on and how they exploded because of it, and what happened to them since then, and then the advent of cable really coming up. You know, with Mad Men and Breaking Bad and The Shield. You'll love this book.
I can't wait.
Yep, Difficult Men.
Difficult Men.
It's on your Kindle now.
But it should be. If it isn't, we're going to fix that. And done. Okay. We keep veering off because this is how you and I have lunch.
Yes, I know. It's true. We cover a lot, but nothing.
We keep letting our real-time conversation infect this interview. Okay.
Back to the 70s. Yes.
I want to talk about your acting work.
Okay.
Well, no, don't laugh at me.
That puts you in a rarefied group. Thank you.
You're a fine actor.
I appreciate that.
And I speak not only because we shared an episode of Warehouse 13 together.
Oh, that's right. I was in that episode.
That's right. You sure
my
were.
God, I forgot
not only
about
that, but with a little bit of careful YouTubing and Googling, items of yours can actually be tracked down.
Really?
Oh yes.
Wow.
Are you? There was an old NBC show called Union Square.
Oh yes.
Remember that one?
That's right. I was in that. Yeah, I was
sure
writing
were.
by then. I was a full-fledged, full-time writer by then. But Marco Panett and Fred Barron, who created that show, asked me to come play a role on it. Oh my God, I don't even remember the scene.
Well, you played Diner Number One. I can tell you that much.
And that, my friend, is my acting career in a nutshell.
That right next to the
That's-
Void. 0
Void,
check.
Diner Number One, Male Reporter, Third Doctor. Oh yeah.
Yep. Here's my favorite thing.
I had a
about
lab coat for auditions. Yes.
Here's my favorite thing about reading your acting resume is that one piece of it goes in order. On Blossom, you played a vice principal.
That's right, I did.
And then in Titus, which you co-created and showran,
Yeah, I played the principal.
you played the principal moving
True.
up in the world.
That was Titus basically with a gun to my head. You got to play this role. So I had to play a fucking role where he literally smashed an egg on my head.
Yeah.
I think that's why he wanted me to play it. Yeah, you know what? I did play a lot of those. You can find some of those on YouTube, huh? Here's one I bet you can't find on YouTube.
Okay.
In 1980, I want to say 6 or 7 maybe. Ray Combs,
Sure.
the
Former host of
then brand new host of Family Feud,
Yep.
was hosting the daytime Emmys,
Oh boy.
and I did a bit of shtick with him live on the daytime Emmys, where I returned his luggage from the airport.
Oh my.
And it was live, and I remember the stagehand right before I'm walking on to do my bit, where I interrupt him as the host of the daytime Emmys in Radio City Music Hall.
Oh.
I step up and interrupt him, and this stagehand says to me, "You know, there's 1 billion people watching this live." And I shit my pants.
Wow.
Because I thought, I'm about to do something in front of 1 billion people. I'm about to interrupt the host of the show.
Yep.
With shtick that may not work.
Well,
that we rehearsed once.
And how did it go over?
Huge. It was huge.
That's what I expected.
I even improv'd a moment, but it was good.
Ooh.
Yes.
I'll bet the producers love that.
Oh, sure, they always do on a live show. What could possibly go wrong? Sure, let Diner Number One add some shtick to the. Anyway, it may ultimately have been why Ray took his own life, because I did that scene with him.
I'm so glad we could find out a way.
I try to keep
bring
a theme
suicide
going.
back.
I try to keep a theme going in my work.
I appreciate it.
And so.
You know what? I'm going to say yes. That is probably what drove him to it.
If you'd see the scene, you would know.
I'm sure.
But
I
yes.
helped drive a school teacher to insanity once.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I can't talk about that though.
Oh, well, next week.
Nope. Nope. That one you're going to have to meet me in person if you want that story. That is not for the masses. Okay, so fine. You want to downplay the acting career?
No. It's fine. Go ahead. Ask me.
No. It's I.
No, you know what you're covering right now? The fact that we've covered it. We've covered my acting career.
There's plenty of fun stuff in there, but I do want to move on because
go ahead.
where I feel like you've made your real mark is in the writing, producing world.
Well, I got a house out of it. So
there you go.
There's
that's plenty. But that started with a little gig, a little PBS series called Square One TV.
You've done your research.
I have. We have a very talented research department.
Bravo.
That is made up of one man, Jason
Oh.
McIntyre. I bring up the rear in that department. That's right.
Not going to touch that either.
That one, I laid that out on a silver
Well,
platter
yeah, but
for
see,
you.
those are the easy ones. Like, you know, I don't hit for the easy ones. I
know.
reach for the ones that'll hit the fence.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
You don't want to tee off. But yeah,
Baseball.
man, Square One TV.
Yeah, Square One. You know, actually, I auditioned for that as an actor. In 1987.
Okay.
I went in. They said my agent got me an audition. They want 2 monologues for a math series on PBS. What am I going to do? My 2 monologues were from a Mark Madoff play and Lawrence from 2 Gents. I'm not going to do either of those at PBS.
Right.
So I wrote 2 monologues for this audition. One was a news report about the odd numbers going on strike to protest their being called odd. And the other was a monologue. The number 0 was on a therapist's couch complaining about no self-worth. He feels I'm nothing. I have nothing to contribute. I bring everything. I bring nothing to whatever I do.
Yeah.
So it was just one of these cute little things I did, and they said, "We don't want you as an actor, but would you like to write some episodes?" So I thought, yeah, sure. And turns out it pays a lot better than the acting thing, and the residuals are way better too.
Yeah.
And so I wrote like 10 sketches for them, 10 different various sketches for them over the couple of years I worked for them, and then I went back to acting. But I really liked it. I mean, I actually had a writing gig before that. Well, in high school, I wrote a musical version of Julius Caesar, but I don't have that handy.
Oh.
But I did write some. We had a political cabaret in 1984 to raise money for the League of Women Voters in New York, and it was called Issue I Don't Even Know You. And it was we actually recorded John Houseman saying that sentence as our intro. And I'd love to have been there for the recording session of that. You want me to say what? All right. Anyway, so I wrote some. It was a very prestigious cast. Christine Nielsen, who was just recently in Wayne Knight, was in it. Harriet Harris was in the show. We did this thing together, and I played and wrote the Pope, John Paul at the time, which was just him sitting in a sketch, sitting at a table with his feet up on a desk and his back to wearing the white beanie and the white robe, on the phone with various powerful world leaders. And my friend Mary Lou Rosado wrote the first one of those, and then I wrote a bunch of them after. So that was my first foray into sketch writing, and then this one, and then I guess the next writing job I got was Itsy Bitsy Spider. That would be hard to find.
That one that did not come up in the research.
No, it's not gonna. It was an animated show on some channel, and Brian Brian Hargrove, my writing partner, and I wrote 3 or 4 of those episodes, and then The Secret World of Alex Mack, which probably did come up, in which I also played a teacher,
That's true.
science teacher on that, and then Dave's World,
And then Dave's World.
and then Dave's World,
Let's
which
talk about Dave's World.
certainly Dave
So,
Barry.
Dave Barry, portrayed on the show by the great Harry Anderson. I thought that was a kind of ahead of its time show. I know it's a weird thing to say because the family sitcom had always been a staple, but for me, maybe it was just the age I was at, but I felt like that was a pretty sharp show and kind of.
It was kind of when Fred Barron created it, and when Fred ran it for the first 2 years, and I think that was its golden age, because it was about hippies raising kids.
Yeah.
And I think there was maybe one other show like that shortly after that, but it was Dave and his wife. It was Delane Matthews and Meshack Taylor and Shadow Stevens. And Shadow Stevens.
Oh, I watched this show.
Yeah, and so it was a good, not edgy, but interesting and funny family show. It wasn't the standard jokes that you heard. It wasn't in the old-fashioned.
No, it wasn't
sitcom
My
version.
3 Sons. It was a.
Right.
It was very.
Or
of
even
its
Full
time
House-ish,
and-
which has
No,
its
it
own,
was not.
which has its own success rate and
Sure.
its own following, but it was more adult. It was for adults, and it was fun. And Brian and I had met a producer on the show, Marco Panett, and I said to him, if we write a spec Dave's World, will you give us notes? And he said, sure. I don't know who's going to want to read a spec Dave's World, but okay. And so we wrote the script, and he really liked it, and he brought us in for a meeting, and we came in so prepared for this meeting. We had 6 story ideas, fully fleshed out, beaten out, jokes, act breaks, the whole thing. And we went into this meeting, and we were like, they said, we liked your script. Do you have any other ideas for the show? And we're like, yeah, we got this one. Like, oh, that's good. Anything else? Yeah, we got this one. And we did that for like an hour, just pitching them ideas.
Yeah.
And they hired us in the meeting. They said, we weren't going to hire staff writers, but you're in. We're hiring you. You're on the show.
For our listeners and viewers at home, would you please tell them how often that happens in Hollywood?
I think that was it.
That was it.
I think that was the time.
Just to be clear, not to convince people, I'm going to move
All I
out
gotta
of
do is, yeah.
Iowa and head out. I got lots of ideas.
I could pitch for hours. You know what? Honestly, though, what I've noticed since I've been a showrunner for several decades is people don't come prepared to meetings. And that's whenever I speak to students, I tell them, you know what? You have for actors, learn the scene, know the lines, hold the script, absolutely, but know it. Be prepared. Don't stumble through it like you don't know it. Don't. You know, and for writers, I say the same thing. Whatever you're meeting on, do your research.
Yeah.
What has that person done before? What are they doing now? What's the show about? Come in with ideas. You don't have to pitch them like, this is what your show needs, but have some ideas. Show them that you're thinking. They want to give you a lot of money to do that, and I'm not going to give somebody a lot of money unless they show me that I'm buying something.
Yeah.
And the number of people just think they're going to get in on their smile.
Boy, it's a good thing you didn't make me audition for Warehouse. Because I've been phoning it in for the last 10 years, man.
Well, you know, whatever works for you. How's it going?
You know.
No, it's you know.
I'm teasing, but
You're a star, Sam.
No,
Stars
please.
don't audition.
Do you know? I'll tell you the difference is in the year 2003, I did a pilot. No, it was not 2003. It was 2000. I did this pilot, and I was the first person cast. It was a family show.
This is coming pretty close on the heels of Freaks and Geeks.
It was right after. I mean, it was the week Freaks got canceled is when I booked this show, and it was a pilot. And they brought me back in to read with all the other actors for this family unit. And I didn't know any better. My agents didn't care about me or whatever. So every time casting would call, hey, would you mind coming into our session so you can help us read 30 actors today? Sure. So I kept doing that.
After Freaks and Geeks, you were doing that.
Yeah, nobody saw Freaks and Geeks. It was, at that time in early 2000.
Oh, yeah,
so I went in, and it was the first time I got to be on the other side of the room.
Isn't that a great place to be?
And honestly, I got two things from that. The first was, and this sounds terrible, and 98% of the people who I've talked to about this, especially those in the casting world, have said it's a really shitty thing to say, but it is mostly true, which is not for every role, but for the bulk of roles, especially regular roles. They've written the role, they've written the character description and everything. You walk into the room, you open your mouth and sound comes out of your body. They've already decided.
The audition's over.
The audition's done.
The audition starts when you walk in the room and it ends when you start talking.
Yep. They're going to maybe now be polite and let you do the read.
You could change your mind. It hasn't. It's not like it hasn't happened.
Right. Wouldn't be the first time, but at that point,
No.
and that's what I figured out from most of these auditions is a guy would walk in, hey, how's everybody doing? You go, oh, nope, this isn't happening.
Yeah.
This guy's not going to be on the show. He's not going to be. Nobody wants to hang around this guy.
No.
He could be the Olivier of the multi-camera universe.
Certainly for non-regular roles, all you want to know is, are you going to be a problem?
Yep.
Because if the casting director saw fit to bring you in, you're probably okay for the part. Are you crazy?
Are you an insane person?
If you're not insane, then you got a way better shot. But if you're coming in with your flyers for your equity waiver show, I'm sorry, no, we're not gonna have you on the show.
And then the second one was the amount of actors who walk into a room and say, "I'm so sorry, I just got the sides last night. I'm so sorry, I just got the sides this morning."
Don't care.
Nobody in the room cares.
Nope.
Because
Sorry, because you're gonna get a rewrite the night before too.
And that's the thing in television. It's like it
No,
doesn't matter.
No.
We just need to see you do some version of this.
Yeah.
And so for that big reason, when I saw it, I was like, wait a minute, they don't care if you're off book? No. They don't care if you're off book. Like, don't be an asshole about it.
No.
Don't be like reading it for the very first time standing there.
That might be bad.
But it's like I have all these actor friends who kill themselves to get off book.
No. Don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying you have to be.
No,
I'm
no,
just saying it's a good idea.
Right.
You know, be familiar
with it. I'm not suggesting be familiar with it and being off book are the same thing.
No.
Be familiar with it, sure. Like, have an idea of what you're going to do before you go in, yes.
Chances are you'll be better
But
in the audition.
But don't kill yourself. And
If you can't get it, if you can't memorize it, or if you're bad with memorizing lines, although if you're bad with memorizing lines, that's something I'd like to know too, because we were auditioning a part on Dave's Row. There was an old lady who lived next door to them, and she comes into this is a woman. Dave's Row was on the auditions and the offices were on the second floor of a building with no elevator, and this woman walks into the audition room with a walker. So I'm thinking, how did you get up here?
Oh my God.
Did you get carried? Anyway, she's in the room, and she was very funny. She starts to read, and we laughed, and she goes, holds up her hand, and then she does another line, and we go, and she goes, I can't do it if you're gonna laugh. Now I'm thinking, this is an audience show.
Right.
We're gonna be there till 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
So she didn't get it.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
It's all right. I think she's probably still making her way down those stairs.
No.
But she died in the room outside.
Yeah, of course.
But that made me think of something else. I'll think of it later. Oh, you know what? Are you going to ask me about Phyllis Diller at some point?
I know you did participate in a documentary.
Oh no, way more than that with Phyllis Diller.
Okay.
In 1974, I wrote Phyllis Diller a fan letter.
You and I have talked about this personally, and as soon as you mentioned
this is like my favorite Hollywood story.
Okay, then I would love
for
everyone to hear
For
this
me,
story.
there are way better Hollywood stories, but
Yeah.
for mine,
Okay.
I wrote her a fan letter in 1974.
Yep.
How do you get into show business? I'm 15 years old. How do you get into show business? She writes me back. She sends me back a 2-page mimeographed form letter with a cover letter that she'd signed and wrote. This is what I give out to people. It was a 2-page, how to get into show business. Work on your act, to start where you are. It was all of these things about, how to, basically she assumed I was a comedian, but it was how to get into comedy. And then read the book, The Magic of Believing, as a self-help book that she was a big proponent of. So I wrote her back saying, thank you so much, I'll try to find the book, I appreciate it, and then she sent me the book.
That's great.
So, and this was before Twitter and
sure.
and the internet hadn't been, there was 3 channels.
Yeah.
There was the idea of contacting someone from Raleigh, North Carolina to Hollywood was like, it may as well have been Saturn.
Yeah.
So we cut now to 1999. We're casting the part of Titus's grandmother, and Phyllis Diller is on the list. And so I brought in the mimeograph paper and the book. I said, do you remember sending these out? And she goes, oh, geez, yeah, did I send this to you? Yeah, oh yeah, I used to send these out to people when they asked me how to get into show business, because it says how to get into show business. And I said, honestly, you made me realize I could do it. You reached out and touched a kid in North Carolina and said, yep, we're here, come on over. And that's what it felt like. It felt like, oh my God, it's not impossible. I could actually, this is achievable.
Yeah.
And it made me rethink my whole life in 1974 that I'm on the right track. I can keep doing this. And of course, we didn't cast her, but no, we cast her in the part. We cast her as grandma. I actually played the principal with her in a scene. She had a nude scene. And then she was also in the Book of Daniel for me. She was a dying cancer patient. And I went to her and I said, I need an actress. There's no lines, but I need somebody who can really convey all the stuff at the end, and I need you to do it without the wig. And she said, okay, you send a car, I'll do whatever you want.
Wow.
So I sent the car, and she did it without the wig, and it's a beautiful scene. She's beautiful in it.
Yeah.
She glows, and she's so sweet when she looks at him, and she actually dies, and she's like, and so she was we just lost her a couple of years ago, but we were friends. We stayed friends after that, and she's an artist. She has a lot of paintings. I took her out to lunch a few times. Every time it cost me about $400.
Wow.
Because I had to buy one of her. I bought a painting every time. I go to the house and pick her up and say, "Come on in, I want to show you something new." And hey, here you go.
Yeah.
Just take it. But she's great. It was sweet artwork. She's really great, and she was a wonderful person. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, okay, we've mentioned the Book of Daniel a few times.
Ah, yes.
And I want
the full title is The Short-Lived and Controversial Book of Daniel.
That is, ain't that the truth? So I want to help our audience remember if they're not familiar with Book of Daniel.
Really? You think there might be someone who is familiar with the Book of Daniel?
So it was 2006?
Yeah, it aired in January 2006.
Yeah,
it aired and got canceled in January 2006.
And it was certainly an unusual show. Aidan Quinn was the lead of the show. He played a priest.
Episcopal priest. Yep.
Episcopal priest who had his family had their own problems. He had his own problems, and on a pretty regular basis, he would have conversations with
Jesus Christ.
Who
Played by
appeared-
Garrett Dillahunt.
Played by the great, magnificent, wonderful
magnificent
Garrett
Dillahunt.
Dillahunt.
Who I
guest
think
of this
realized
show.
in episode 2 that his character was never going to change.
Right. We had Garrett on this show, by the way.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
He's great.
He's the best.
I think he realized, wait a minute, I'm never going to date. I'm not going to age. I'm not going to have any problems. I'm Jesus, so I'm kind of done. Oh, shit.
Well,
But, you know.
And so when it was one of those deals where I have to believe you're able to shoot the pilot in relative
Let me back up and tell
sanity.
you the whole thing. So
Please.
my writing partner, Brian Hargrove, in about 2004, realized that he was rich and didn't have to do this anymore. He's married to David Hyde Pierce, and I think he woke up one morning and thought, wait a minute, I'm sitting on money. What am I doing here? And he told me I'm going to be out in a couple of years. So I thought I better write something that is a page turner. I wanted to write something that I didn't think anybody would shoot, but something that people, oh wow, this is it. Oh wow, ooh, you know. So I put everything in there. Vicodin addiction, and his daughter was selling drugs, and his son was gay, and his other son was an adopted Asian kid who was fucking everything that walked. And so I just put everything in there. His wife was an alcoholic, and I just got it out there for people to know that I could write alone. And I gave it to Cheryl Dolans, who was at NBC at the time in comedy, and I said, I can make it a half hour if you're interested. And she read it, and she said, no, I want Kevin to read this. This might be Kevin Riley. This might be something that I think it's something he's looking for. So she gave it to Kevin, and I got a call the Wednesday before Thanksgiving in 2004 from Kevin Riley at home saying, I want to buy your script. I'm like, Book of Daniel? He said, yeah. I said, did you read it? And he said, yeah, of course I read it. I said, well, okay, because, the Vicodin and Jesus and really? He said, yep. Okay, he said, I got a few notes. I said, okay, here it comes. Can you make Jesus not there? Can you make, and he had hardly any notes, 2 easy notes to do. I did the notes, get it back to him. Then right before Christmas, a few weeks later, he calls from the slopes in Park City. Of course, and says, we're gonna make your script. And I, of course, said, Book of Daniel? Really? And he said, yes, of course, really. It's cast contingent, but I said, what isn't?
Sure.
So we began the search to try to find a Daniel. Went to, a bunch of different people. And so it amazingly got on the air. Now, Jeff Zucker, which I didn't find out till we were shooting, really, hated it. But Jeff Zucker hated everything Kevin did. He hated The Office. He hated My Name is Earl. He hated Heroes. Everything Kevin wanted to put on the air, Jeff hated.
Right.
And but he really hated the Book of Daniel.
Well.
Really, because Friday nights at 10 o'clock. That's.
You don't have to tell me Freaks and Geeks was on Saturdays at 8.
Saturdays, ooh, you win.
Yeah, thank
you. You win that one.
Thank you.
Yeah, Saturdays at 8.
Yeah.
I didn't think anything was on Saturday at 8.
Yeah, that was Garth and Sear. That's how much he hated the show.
Hated the show. Well, what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
So we made the pilot. We made 8 episodes, and 4 weeks before we aired, the American Family Association came out really powerfully against it. Having discovered that I was gay and not being a fan of the gays, and certainly much less a fan of the gays writing about their Jesus.
And certainly never a fan of the Hollywood gays.
No, the Hollywood gays, and writing about their Jesus on television and being an admitted recovering Catholic, which was a mistake.
Well,
in an early interview, I was kidding. We kid the Catholics.
No sense of humor.
Not in that crowd. Not in that crowd, no. Parents Television Council, all of these groups that I'd never heard of. The Reverend Lou Wildman came out, and they got like 500,000 emails to NBC weeks before we aired, saying we will boycott anybody who advertises on that show. We will organize, I had death threats for it. Yeah.
Regular Salman Rushdie.
Yeah. Well, okay.
Yep.
I'll take that.
Yep.
And so we were kind of dead before we aired. We had no advertisers. Burlington Coat Factory was it. That was our advertiser on the show. Every other ad during the premiere were ads for other NBC shows.
Yeah.
So you really couldn't tell where ours started.
They're more than great coats.
They're the coat to wear.
Right.
If you're in Burlington.
Well, I got it at the factory, Burlington Coat Factory. We're more than great coats.
Oh, really? That's their thing?
That is their thing.
Oh, I like that.
At least it was 20 years ago when I watched that ad on television every day.
I'm surprised I don't remember because that's the only ad I saw. But so that we were kind of he let us air for 4 episodes aired, and then we were booted. And we were, however, the first show to air on the internet. Our last 4 episodes aired on the internet.
Wow.
And that was at a time when I think 5 people. You have more viewers right now than watched the internet television in 2006. So,
J-Mac, do you have the YouTube page open? Yeah. How many viewers? Just so to give Jack a real idea. You can tell me the real number. 46. Thank you very much.
Wow.
There you go.
I'm 46.
46.
I didn't think you had that many relatives.
I am surprised to know. Huge in Australia. Huge in Australia.
Oh yeah?
No, you,
really?
You.
Me?
You. Huge.
I've never been.
The Aussies love you.
Invite me to a con. I'll come. They never invite the writers. Well, the big name writers get to go.
Well.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Book of Daniel. I don't know. I feel like and you and I have certainly talked about it quite a bit in our personal time. But that is
Sounds like we're dating.
Yeah, we are. we were dating. I was your side piece. Let's be honest.
Oh, was that you?
That was me.
It was dark.
I know. It's it's one of those. It reminded me of Kevin Smith's Dogma, where where the religious right goes crazy for a thing they've literally not seen.
They know nothing about. The shocking thing to me was I thought they would love it.
Yeah.
Because this was a Jesus who was. He never told Daniel anything he didn't know.
Yep.
It was clearly in Daniel's mind. He was loving, tolerant, supportive. There was one quote of some woman in one of the affiliate areas said that my Jesus isn't tolerant. I don't like this kid. Like, really? I thought that was like his middle name.
Yeah.
Like, I thought he kind of invented tolerance.
Yep.
But it was all about he was all about love and support and telling Daniel, you know what the right thing is to do. You know you shouldn't be doing this. You know. So I was kind of shocked, stupidly, that they didn't go, wow, this is good, we like this. And there were a lot of, to be fair, there were a lot of Christians I heard from and Episcopalians, people that loved the show, were very supportive of it, and were really upset that there were so many people going after it because they thought, no, we're not represented on, these are good Christians. These are good, loving people who have problems. Like, who the fuck doesn't have problems? It's not like he was killing kids. He wasn't Bill Cosby, for God's sake. He was, he had a little addiction to pills. I mean, who hasn't taken a few pills? But it was, it kind of broke my heart. It was really hard. It was a really tough time for me when that got yanked.
I watched the pilot of Book of Daniel when it aired, only because I remember all the hubbub.
That was you.
That was me. Wow. I was one of the 46.
Good for you.
Thank you. And it bothered me because it was a good show. And it did not get a fair shake.
Not at all.
And I know it's only the 6 episodes. Can people see the 6 episodes anywhere?
8
episodes.
Right? That's right. You can get them they're on DVD.
They are on DVD.
And I think you can watch a lot of them on YouTube.
Probably. I was going to say.
I know you can watch the pilot.
You don't care about residuals for that.
Residuals, yes. Well, I'm planning on redoing my
nails.
Yes.
Apparently.
Yes, with the residual money I get, I think I might be able to get a Manny, not a Petty.
Okay, good.
Just the Manny.
So if you are interested, it really was a very different show, and with a pretty great take on that.
It was pretty ahead of its time for the time, which is probably the problem. And also, I did something that one of my favorite things about that show was, remember the Wild Wild West, the original?
Sure. Yeah.
And they would end each segment with that freeze frame, and it would become animated and become a part of a foursome of. So we sold that. We stole it for Daniel, and it was a stained glass window. Every act would freeze frame, turn into a stained glass window, and become part of a circle of stained glass windows that had the next 6 act breaks on it. Ooh. And I just loved doing that.
Yeah.
We had Snuffy Walden did the music, and he was doing West Wing at the time and all these big shows, and Thomas Del Ruth was our DP on the pilot, and then John Beamer on the series. We had really Ellen Burstyn, the great James Rebhorn, late great James Rebhorn was Daniel's father, and Kathleen Chalfant was his mother. Marion Seldes, the late great Marion Seldes, was Judith's mother. We had these amazing actors on the show. Christian Campbell, Allison Pill was the daughter.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, we had Susanna Thompson, and just one after another, these magnificent actors. Dan Hedaya was the Catholic priest in the pilot, who I got shit from the Catholic Church about. You're saying because he was saying you got connections to the mafia to help find Daniel's brother. And they were all upset about that, and I was like, do you want me to talk about what the Catholic Church really does? Because I don't think you do.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you want me to leave the whole pedophilia thing out of it.
For now.
Yeah, because the mafia, really, you're going to be shocked that the Catholic Church has mafia connections?
Save it for season 6.
Please.
Yeah.
I wouldn't wait that long, but yeah.
Well, yeah, so I encourage people to go and check that out.
Thank you. Yes, it's fun.
So now let's talk about the multi-camera world for you.
Yes.
A little more comfort zone, as we've already established.
Titusian, as it were.
So I'll let you pick which one you want to talk about first. Caroline in the City or Titus?
Well, Carolina City, I was a writer for hire. I didn't create it, so
Okay.
I did play a very fun part on it the year before I joined it as a writer. I played a flamboyant gay artist on an episode that Jimmy Burrows directed, and it actually made it into a bunch of blooper reels. We had a little confrontation, funny confrontation, Jimmy and I on the show, and that was our second job in the business, our network job, and I had a great time on Caroline. Leah Thompson, sweetest woman on the planet.
Truly.
And her husband, Howie Deutsch, I got to know Howie then, who's directed some Warehouse episodes. But, we had a great time. We were just having fun. And I got to, and Brian and I were getting our sea legs. And then during that time, then we went on to Holding the Baby. While we were on Holding the Baby, short-lived, the guy, a friend of mine, a guy who I'd met when I first started acting, on my first acting job in LA on a show called Sibs with Terry Garr, Margaret Colin, and Marsha Mason as three adult sisters sharing a house. I don't know if it ever aired. I think it aired very briefly. I played gay mailman Bob, and on the that you can find that on the YouTube.
I'm sure.
I met this guy Michael Hamill, who was an executive at Columbia TriStar at the time. We became pals. We hung out. We went to flea markets and shit, and we were just friends. And so we stayed friends for all those years. And then I don't know, 8 years later, he says. He put me together with my writing partner, Brian. He put us together as a team. And he said, there's a comic. He's pretty angry. If you can take the anger out of him, I think there's a story there. I think there's a good, solid sitcom there. So we met with Titus, and we saw his one-man show, and it was true. There was a great story there, and we needed to dial back on the anger. Yeah. And for 2 years, we ran for 3 years, for 2 years and 11 months and 4 weeks and 5 days. We did it. We kept the anger out. But we shot the pilot. We pitched it to the alternative department at Fox, so that it was under the radar. Did I just put my hand in front of your camera? So it kind of snuck through getting on TV because it surprised everybody. Everybody, oh, that was pretty good. So we got on the air, and I think unfortunately Gail Berman was at Regency at the time, and she developed Malcolm in the Middle, which shot almost the same month we did, the pilot. And then Gail took over as president of Fox. And Malcolm in the Middle got 8:30 after Simpsons, and we were, what night are we on again? I don't remember. Tuesday, then Thursday, and Wednesday. We're going to be on Tuesday again. So we were shuffled around a lot. And I don't know that Gail was a big fan of the Titus, and Christopher was fond of taking jabs at her in the press. Yes.
And yet somehow it lasted 3 seasons.
3 seasons we still got, and we would keep telling him, Chris, you got to with the thing. You just be a nice guy about it. He couldn't do it. He'll tell the story. I mean, he says he fucked up his own show. He just couldn't keep his mouth shut, and because it was a good show and people loved it.
It really was.
Yeah, and
it never got the respect that it deserved for as funny and sharp as it was.
And honestly, to me, I mean, I would love to have a shelf full of awards. I have none, but I do have a Silver Angel Award. Showed up in my driveway in a box one day for the pilot of Daniel. Yep. I didn't know there was no note. It was just a...
What, do you know the organization behind it?
I finally got them on the phone. I said, so what is this? They said it's the Angel Awards. And that is just quality television. We're based in Palm Springs. Oh, is there like a ceremony or something? No, we can't afford a ceremony this year. You get the award. Oh, great, thank you. So it's on my shelf.
It looks like it's Phil and Debbie Angel of Palm Springs.
Well, Phil was a big fan of the show. Debbie not so much, but I guess they, sometimes Phil wins, sometimes Debbie wins. So anyway, the award that I would have loved to have seen given for Titus was to Stacy Keach. Because Stacy Keach, who was only known as a dramatic actor until that point, was just, Mike Hammer and all that, and the American Olivier. He was called the American Olivier, and until that cocaine thing. And so, and Stacy was fucking brilliant. He was so funny. I mean, real and honest and scary and dark funny, dark comedy, glee in it. I mean, he was just amazing. And I always wish, we took out an ad one year for the Emmys. Brian and Titus and I chipped in and spent $10,000 to buy a cover of the Hollywood Reporter to push for the show and for Stacy. And he didn't get nominated because, you basically have to do a lot of that.
Yes, you do. It's quite campaigning to make one of those things happen.
But anyway, if I had one regret other than Titus getting Gail angry at us, it's that Stacy didn't get the recognition I think he deserved for the work he did on that show, because it was magnificent.
He was very funny. It was nice to see him
Oh,
with
and
the comedy.
Such a great guy.
Yeah.
I mean, easy to work with, funny, professional, always knows his shit.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody better.
Yeah.
Nobody better.
All right, so I want to just pull this out of complete left field. I want you to know that in my research on you, if you type Jack Kenny into Google,
Google returns a question mark.
Google will say, here are some related Google searches you probably are interested in. And I found these to be pretty interesting. Jack Kenny head teacher.
Head teacher?
Head teacher. I don't know what that means.
The teaching head?
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably that.
I've been known.
Jack Kenny pottery.
Well,
Here's what.
and let me hold up my.
There it is,
you know,
your
my-
perfect example.
My perfect example of my pottery.
Pottery
my pottery
skills.
collection is the broken mug for those listening on
Jack
podcast.
Kenny footballer.
Wow, he's a rugby player.
He's a rugby player.
Rugby player, and I think he goes by John Kenny, which is my legal name actually.
All right.
And yeah, rugby player.
And
yeah.
my personal favorite, Jack Kenny Chesney.
Chesney?
Yes.
What? Jack Kenny Chesney?
Kenny Chesney is a country musician, you see.
Jack Kenny Chesney, really?
That's what the fourth
You
one
didn't
comes
mean
up
Jack
as.
Kenny. You meant Kenny
Jack
Chesney.
Kenny Chesney. It's
Yeah.
the ultimate before and after for Wheel of Fortune.
Of course, yes.
I'm going to submit this to them. Hey, if Google
Oh,
is
that'll
spitting
be
it
huge
out,
on Wheel of Fortune.
if Google is suggesting it, I want in.
Up
All right.
until about a year ago, whenever you type Jack Kenny into IMDb, Jack Benny would come up. Which I was
Oh,
actually okay with.
That's nice. That's nice. You'd show up at meetings and people would go, I had no idea you've been in the business this long. You look so young. I have one more tweet 5 for you, and then we're going to talk about the behemoth that was Warehouse 13. So one more time with that. Now, you know what? Save the kick differential. We got it already. Oh, fuck it!
Am I screwing it up?
But you know it.
Five.
Yeah. Fuck it! We'll do it live. Jesus! Here we
five.
go.
Yeah, live, okay.
From Facebook.
Facebook.
This one came from Facebook. Oh, that's not a tweet 5. That's a question,
Okay.
which
I'll take
is
a
part
question.
of what we're going to talk about. So
Later.
from the Twitters, at Jesse Jackson DFW, which I have to assume is Dallas Fort Worth.
And Jesse's obviously in Dallas Fort Worth Airport right now and
Right
listening
now.
to your show.
So there it is.
Hi, Jesse.
Hi, Jesse Jackson at Jesse Jackson DFW says, here we go. Cynthia Watros or Susanna Thompson?
Oh,
It's a toughie.
these are the Sophie's Choice ones.
That's the
And remember, Sophie's Choice was about which child do
Child
I
do you
let die.
die?
So,
spoiler alert.
Cynthia Watros.
Are
Love you, Susanna. Love you.
Love it. Look,
sure
I've
she's
worked
watching.
with Cynthia, so I agree. That's correct.
oh.
Artie or Claudia?
Oh,
This is a bastard person who did this to you.
I'm gonna have. I mean, you know what? Okay, I would normally say Artie because I am the voice of Artie.
Yeah.
But because I have such self-loathing, I'll say Claudia.
Nice. Also, Soul's fine.
Yeah, he's
Directing or
fine,
writing?
Please. Oh.
Yeah,
shit.
that's a tough one.
On writing.
Ooh, okay. I'm
Why would you?
surprised.
No, why would
I
you
like
have thought directing?
it.
Because
I'll
everybody
get to
wants
that
be
in a second. I
director?
want to
Okay.
finish this. Farnsworth or Tesla?
Tesla.
Correct. White Sox or Cubs?
Who?
White Sox or Cubs? You were born
I'm
in
an
Chicago.
old school gay.
Just pick one.
Really?
Pick one.
Mets. I was at the 1969 Miracle Mets.
Oh,
I mean, I went to one of the World Series games.
All right.
I was, -7. But I mean, that's the only team I actually know. Although, I mean, which is embarrassing because Mike, you know who Michael's brother is.
I sure do.
Yes, my husband's brother is, for those who don't know, Roger Goodell. And yes, that one.
Yes, that
Yeah,
Roger
that Roger Goodell. It's not a mistake. It's not a clerical error.
Nope.
I can go to any Super Bowl I want as long as I pay for it.
Privilege.
It's good. It's great
Yeah,
to know
it's a
Roger.
good
He's
deal.
a great guy.
It's a good deal.
Wonderful guy.
Cool.
But yeah, I was born in Chicago. I left when I was 5. White Sox or
Cubs.
Cubs? Really?
All the way, baby.
Why?
All the way.
Why?
Because I am the Cubs. I figured it out about a week ago.
Well, just because you're short.
No. Let me explain.
A little
the Cubs-
hairy.
well,
Is it that kind of Cub?
no, different Cub. Different Cub.
Because
Different
I'd say
Cub.
you're more of an otter. but
All
go ahead.
together. Thank you.
Well, you know.
So I was watching a Cubs game. They were playing their heated rival, the St. Louis Cardinals, and this was a back and forth game. And the Cubs had been behind almost all game, and then in the late innings, I think the 7th or 8th inning, they took I want to say a 5-4 lead over the Cardinals. They'd been down the whole game. It was impressive. And then
That's
in
the
the
problem
ninth,
with baseball, by the way. You know that the exciting game is 5-4. Not
no.
100 to 99, but yeah.
No, trust me.
All right.
And so then they go into the ninth inning, and the ninth inning starts off with 2 immediate outs, and then a walk, and then the next guy's up there. He's in an 0-2 count, 2 strikes.
Oh, this is
and
one
then,
of those things you write for a movie.
And then he belts the home run, and the Cubs lose that game 6-5 with 1 strike to go.
Oh.
And that's when I realized I am the Cubs. That's why I like them so much. This is my life.
You like to lose at the last possible
you
second.
start off with a huge deficit. You really got to come from behind, and then you do it against impossible odds.
And people are
you
cheering
get
you
ahead,
on.
and you're this close to victory.
Sam.
And with 1 strike to go, it fucking falls apart. And there's no World Series victories. Not in my lifetime. Not in my father's lifetime. Not in his father's lifetime.
Your lifetime isn't over yet, I don't think.
Well-
I mean, I think all right, let's say 3/4 over.
I'm 33 years old, and as you know,
wow, that's a bad,
in Hollywood actor years.
Well, and also there was another guy who didn't do well at 33.
Yeah, Chris Farley.
I was thinking Jesus Christ, but okay.
No, I think Chris Farley was over 33, but yes, Jesus Christ, of course, died at 33.
I thought maybe Chris Farley did too.
I read
That's a good lead.
I think he might have. I think I read in doing my research on you, by the way, that Garrett was apprehensive because, or was it you who was apprehensive about hiring Garrett to play Jesus?
You mean the blonde-haired, blue-eyed guy?
The blonde-haired, blue-eyed guy who was not 33?
No, he was not 33,
not
and nor did he
33.
look 33. But I don't think I wasn't. Garrett may have been apprehensive. I
think it was
wasn't.
Garrett then,
I was. Garrett was. Yeah, I think it was. There was a lot of things about that character, that part that were apprehensive. Yeah. And we also our other choice was a dark-skinned, dark-haired guy that probably looked a lot more like Jesus would have looked, but the network wasn't going to do that.
Yeah.
We fought really hard for Allison Pill.
Ooh.
Because the network wanted, they said, we want somebody, much, prettier and boobier and all that stuff. And I'm like, yeah, we don't need that. Allison is this amazing actress.
How about we just hire a great actress?
Great. I mean, she was magnificent. There's an episode that never aired where she had to play her 15-year-old self.
Yeah.
And the nuance that she brought to this 15-year-old version of her character, she's a magnificent actress.
Have you heard her sing?
I have on Book of Daniel. She sang.
Oh, I was thinking of something else. But
Nope,
yeah.
she sang a song. She said when her brother was in a coma in the hospital at Sunday Mass, she sang a song to fight for his recovery. It was beautiful. It was a Cyndi Lauper song, very famous. I'm blanking on it now.
Time After Time?
Time After Time. She sang Time After Time, yes.
All right, so then good. The answer is yes, you have heard her sing.
I have, and she's
All
great.
right. She is wonderful. She's a hell of a karaokeer.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
So you've heard her sing
I have.
socially.
I have heard her sing
You hang out in K-Town with her? Is that the...
yeah, we've hung out in K-Town a couple times, down at Max Karaoke.
so
what you gotta
you're
do.
like pals with her?
Yeah.
Well, say hi.
I will. Okay. From Facebook, Tom Jackson Jr., and this ties in with where we're going here.
Is he related to Jesse Jackson?
You know what?
I'm
you
a
would
little
think.
nervous here.
You
All
would
right.
think. Tom
Jackson
Jackson Jr.
5
wants
watching.
to know what we all want to know.
Oh.
Will there ever be a Warehouse 13 movie?
Wow, I don't know. I sure would love to.
Yeah.
I think that would be great. No one's called me. I haven't heard about it. I think it might be a Kickstarter thing, but I think it would be great. I would think it would be fun. I mean, I know the cast would love to do it.
Yeah.
I think I think the problem is sci-fi seems to have a model where it's 5 years and out. That's what they do.
Yeah.
Give or take a few here or there, but same thing with Eureka. Same thing. They're just 5 years and out. That's the most you get. And I don't really understand the finances of why that's the case.
Yeah.
Because I know we could have gone 3-4 more years with
Easily.
Warehouse. It was just
It
like
was an
it was a
endless
story machine.
It was an endless amount.
Yeah,
of
we could
stories.
have done it for forever, and we didn't. And it just sort of we were kind of prepared, but still kind of brokenhearted by
Yeah.
it because we were having such a great time.
Yeah.
But I hope so. I would be happy to do one.
Good.
Not that I do
Okay.
it for free, but
Well, And now let's go back to the start of that. Let's talk about Warehouse, man.
Warehouse 13. Okay, so we're right after the strike.
Mm-hmm.
Writers are hated in Hollywood in the moment, right after the strike, and so I was directing episodes of an ABC Family sitcom called Roommates. It was sort of a bus and truck of friends. It was, it was just people sharing. It was great. It was fun.
Sure.
It was a very talented cast, really funny, great people. And Eddie McClintock is guest starring on a couple of the last episodes of the show. And I know Eddie from Holding the Baby. I was a writer on Holding the Baby, which was a vehicle for him. Eddie is fond of saying that he's He's blown more pilots than the stewardess, and he's been doing it for a while. And so he said my pilot got picked up. My first hour long. And I said, what is it? Warehouse 13. And I knew David Simpkins, who had written the 5th version of that show, of that script, and ran the pilot. And I called David to congratulate him, and he said, yeah, except they're looking for a showrunner. They don't want me to run it. And I said, well, you happen to know an unemployed showrunner right now. So I called my agent and said, get me into Warehouse 13.
Yeah. And
he said, you don't write sci-fi. What do you want to go there? You're an hour-long guy, maybe, but not sci-fi. And I saw the pilot. I read the pilot. I know this is Raiders of the Lost Ark meets moonlighting. I can do this. This is not Battlestar Galactica where I don't speak the language. This is something I could do. And so I went into the sci-fi and I said, this is your crossover show. This is the show that will get people like me to watch your channel, because I don't watch your channel. Battlestar Galactica scares me. I feel like I got to speak some language that I won't speak, but this is something I would watch. So this is something I know how to run. Yeah. I know how to build these stories. I'll hire sci-fi guys for the GAC that we need, but I talked them into it. I told them Artie needed an apprentice. He couldn't be alone at the pilot. It was just Artie, Micah, and Pete. That was it. And I said, Artie needs a sorcerer's apprentice, and we brought in Claudia, and I got the gig. And they didn't know we didn't know each other, so the first year was kind of bumpy. But once they realized I kind of knew what I was doing, they let me take the show where I wanted to take the show. Mm-hmm. And it was this amazing, fun, brilliant ride that you got to be a part of.
I sure did,
at
and
the
I'm
end.
so grateful.
And it was just, everybody was great. Everybody was great on that show. It was just fun. We had a great family of people. We worked well together. And
you really did.
And I kept trying to tell everybody that were new to it, this doesn't happen all the time. Enjoy this. Mm-hmm. These experiences are rare. Mm-hmm. Try to love it. And we just had this amazing run. It was just great. It was the best professional experience I had, because they happened to be rebranding the channel the summer we premiered.
Yeah.
So we got these huge numbers. We had 4.3 million people watched our premiere.
That is tremendous.
For sci-fi?
For sci-fi.
The sci-fi channel?
For cable at all, but
and
then for sci-fi.
I mean, unfortunately, part of their model is they promote the first season of a show and then never again. So, we couldn't, they would say your numbers are down. Like, okay, I'll make some calls. What am I going to do about the numbers? I can't. Yeah. I'm giving you a good product.
Yeah.
So, but they had other promotional things, and so our numbers began to sink as season 3 and season 4 happened. But it was great. We got this rebranding campaign that launched us, and people loved the show. We had a
They really did. Yeah. I've been doing these conventions now.
Yeah, you go to the cons.
And I have people showing up at my table going, I saw you on Warehouse 13, you were in the finale, you're already in. Spoiler alert. And I was like, oh yeah. That has happened probably 20 times in 3 cities.
Wow.
Which to me, it's one of those deals where I'm surprised that it's just, and it's the model. Like there was such a
you should screen grab a nice shot of you and Saul.
I will.
And bring it with you.
I will.
And sign it with the silver pen.
That's what I'm going to do next.
Because Renee Auberginois gets that all the time.
Yeah.
And anybody, Lindsay Wagner, a lot of people who've guested on our show, they get at the cons, because these are the thing about the con. People make a lot of fun of the cons because it's crazy town, right? But these are the real fans. These are the people who, they don't dress up to impress other people. They dress up because they love this, what they're doing. They are passionate fans. Yep. And I love that. And passionate fans are the best ones. They know everything about the show. They'll tell you things about your character you didn't know.
That's right.
And it's just really fun. I like going to the cons.
Cool. When was the last one you went to?
The last season of Warehouse. That was the last time I went, because we had a panel. We had a panel every year, and the last panel was amazing. I mean, it was just, it happened to be Mark Stern's birthday, who was the president of Sci-Fi, and for the last season of the show, I presented him with our brilliant production designer, Franco Dakotas, did one of his original drawings of Artie's office, and all the cast and Franco signed it, and we got it framed and gave it to Mark at the con panel, and it was like, people just went bananas, because it was just, and we were all, Eddie was crying, we were all crying, because it was the last season of the show, and we were in the middle of shooting it. We were in the middle of shooting the telenovela episode where Eddie and Joanne fall into a telenovela, get sucked into a telenovela, and they all speak Spanish. It was great. It was really fun.
Oh. And all of the episodes are on DVD, yeah?
Yep. You can get a whole box set. Five seasons.
Okay. Is it on streaming? Do you know?
Yeah, I think last time I ever heard it was on Netflix.
It
jumps
gotta
from
be on
Hulu to Netflix.
I was gonna say it's either on Hulu, Netflix, Amazon.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
I don't know if it's Amazon. Yeah, it's on. It's always it keeps
It's on
jumping around.
something.
You can find
it's
it
on something.
You can find it on.
And
those
I
places,
really
yeah.
encourage people to find it because
Well, especially the last episode where you can see Mr. Samm Levine
Please.
in his star turn as Artie's
honest
unknown
to
son.
God, if nothing else,
Yeah, if there's no other reason to
Tune
watch
in
that
for me.
show, tune in for
because
Sam.
clearly you
Sam,
can't, you're not getting enough of me.
That's another eighth of a cent heading your way, my friend.
Woohoo!
Start looking at that Tesla seriously.
I'd prefer a Farnsworth.
Oh, the Farnsworth car.
Yes.
Yes. Well, you look good in that.
Thank you.
Chugging along like a Model T.
Well, I can keep you here no longer. I can't thank you enough.
Oh, not at all. It was great fun. I had a great time.
We've covered so much. You know what? We were talking about this before the show, and I actually wrote it down. Here's what I want to talk about, only because you were talking to me about having seen Missy Pyle's episode.
Yeah, I heard
And
it.
she was talking about, or you heard it.
She was on Warehouse.
And oh, that's right.
She was great. She sang a big number. She
Great
had
in
a big-
everything.
Yes, she's amazing.
And she told a pretty terrific story about getting rear-ended by Bobby Brown.
That's right. And Bobby Brown owes her $2,000. You decided it was $2,000.
It was $2,000.
$500 deductible and,
Yes.
and pain and suffering.
And pain and suffering. It's $2,000, and I will not rest until Bobby Brown pays her back.
I think actually you should probably get a commission on that as
Restitution,
well. I think
my
it should
friend.
be $2,000
That's all I'm
plus
talking
10.
about.
Yeah.
But now, tell me, does a particular Hollywood actress owe you any money for the same thing?
No, she had good insurance.
Ah.
Yeah, I was rear-ended by Eva Mendes on Franklin and Western.
Uh-huh.
I guess it was probably, it'll be 3 years ago at Christmas.
Okay.
She did 10 grand worth of damage to my BMW convertible.
Ouch.
The trunk never quite closed properly again.
Even after the repairs?
Even after repairs, it
That's
still
a
had a
shitty
little...
repair shop, man.
No. Well, I didn't say who did it, but they did okay. It was just, yeah, I sold the car.
Okay.
It's not my problem.
I see.
But she was great. She was very sweet. She said that she was looking at her GPS, but she lives in the neighborhood, so that confused me. But she was really sweet. She was really nice. She never got out of her car.
That's important that she was sweet about it. Because apparently
incredibly
Bobby Brown, they didn't want that.
No, I heard. They came over and said, "Were you drinking too?"
Yeah.
I'm like, two?
That's the best.
That's the best line
Best
ever.
line.
Of things you're not supposed to say after an accident, I think that's number one.
That's number one.
Number one. Were you drinking too?
You drinking too?
So it's no. She was really sweet. She had her dog in the back, and I think she was really shaken up.
Sure.
She never got out of the car, and we pulled over into this Rite Aid parking lot. And there's a florist shop on that corner of Franklin and Western, and I guess she did a lot of business there, because the guy comes out of the shop and he goes up to her. Are you okay? And he's giving me the stink eye the whole time. Like, you giving my girl any trouble? Like,
Yeah.
dude, look at my car. Look at her car. There's no scratch. Mine is caved in. Because she was in a big SUV that completely caved in my trunk. And so he was protecting her. She was really great, sweet. So let me take pictures of her driver's license and her insurance card and all that stuff, which I have not posted on the internet, nor will I.
Well.
And she was really nice. And then I went, and she said, "Oh my God, this has never happened. I had an accident, and so I'm upset."
Yeah.
But then I went home and Googled, just for fun, Eva Mendes car accident to see if someone had picked it up and put it on the internet that I was if I get some free publicity out of it. There was a day where she had 3 in one day.
Well, look.
They were all solo, like she hit a tree or she hit her mailbox or but it was really funny. I was laughing my ass off. I thought, well, so you mean you've never actually hit any other person? That must have been the surprise.
It's an important distinction.
Huge. I mean, the insurance company doesn't really make that distinction, but apparently Eva does. And she was, like I say, she was really sweet.
Okay.
Never returned my calls.
Well,
after
then
that.
Eva Mendes, we will not be chasing you down. But if you happen to know Bobby Brown, you let that son of a bitch
Let him know.
He owes our girl Missy some money.
Yeah, that's right. 2,200 at this point. It goes up.
Absolutely.
It goes up.
The interest is compounding. At the top of the show, we talked about your Larry King game.
Oh, yes, that's right. You have a game on it.
I hope you are prepared, my friend, because it is that time.
And it's a bad Larry King impression, right?
We want a bad Larry King impression. You give me a good one, you're out of here. Bad Larry King impression. As Larry, you reveal something about yourself, Larry, that, as an aside, we could do without. And then you go to the phones, and if the name of the city you go to happens to be funny sounding, all the better. When you were ready.
And I was going to do Poughkeepsie, but Missy did Poughkeepsie, where I first learned to pick my feet.
Poughkeepsie is an always funny name.
I've done it though. It's been done. I'm a comedy writer. I can't do it.
I understand. When you're ready,
all right.
that's your
He
lens.
did a lot of this, right?
Sure.
Did he do that? Before we go, in 1988, I had all of the flesh removed from my upper torso so my suspenders would hang more provocatively. Terre Haute, Indiana, a city with 2 time zones. You're on the air.
Well done, sir.
Thank you.
That is how you play the Larry King game, right there. Oh, so my suspenders would be more provocative.
Yes, well, so they would rub against my nipples more provocatively.
Oh, yes. Oh, that's going to create a real image for me from now on.
There you go.
Thank you so much, Jack.
Thank
Truly
you,
from the
Sam.
bottom of my heart.
I begged you to let me come and do this with you, and you acquiesced, and I appreciate it.
No. As I expected.
Because I love talking to you.
A tremendous guest. Likewise, my friend. Yeah. Please sit there for 30 seconds while I finish this off for
I can
everyone.
hold it 30 more seconds.
Okay, fantastic. That is our chat show for this week. Thank you so much for tuning in and joining us. Of course, I want to thank everyone here who makes the show possible. You've got your Jason McIntyre and your Mike Duman up in the crow's nest. You've got our social media maven, Natalie Rosen. You have the evil Dr. Kenny Chen, making sure everything looks and sounds wonderful. You have Samantha Ward on makeup. You have your Kevin Pollak and your Jamie Foxx, who are not here today, but they are here in spirit and
that's what that is.
And in providing all of this, and the fantastic folks here at the West Side Theater who home us and shelter us from doing this in an alley. So I want to thank all of them. I want to thank you, the viewers. I specifically want to thank you, the viewers, who have reached out and told me that they like it when I sit here in the host chair. And I will never get too comfortable because at its core, this is always Kevin Pollak's chat show. But I want to thank you who have told me that they don't mind it when I sit here and I don't derail the show, which is really all I'm aiming for. I'm not trying to put together a brilliant podcast. I just want to keep it where it's not a total train wreck. Which reminds me, go see Trainwreck in theaters and support my old pal Judd Apatow. I think it's open now. Tune in next week. Our guest will be the sensational Zoe fucking Bell from Kill Bill, a little movie called Inglourious Bastards. We're going to talk a lot about Quentin. It's going to be great. That is it. So from now until next time, fuck off.